All right. First, Sarah, thank you so much for letting me do this session with you. I've been looking forward to it. We talked briefly before we hit record, and I just wanted to do agreements for this hour that we have together.
Terrific.
How are you feeling in general right now?
I feel good. Today's a good day. I've, been pretty on track with my workout and drinking my water. And I even went to the hospital for just a little while this morning, got to bring a new life into the world. So
Oh, wow.
great,
Cool.
great way to
Oh,
start the day.
just normal day, bringing life into the world. That's not bad. It's not bad. All right. So for this hour, first, you consented to being recorded, and this may or may not be viewed by other coaches. And so thank you so much for that. But the first agreement is to hide nothing and hold nothing back if you're able.
I agree.
And I'll do that as the coach as well. So drop the filters, like tune into one another and see what wants to unfold. Awesome. Next agreement is going to be you are in control. So I'm going to lead at times. I'm going to go back on my heels at times, but at any moment you are in control. And that can look like, I don't want to talk about this any further, or I'd love to change directions. That's all okay. And it's going to have to do with your own nervous system, your own emotions, and no judgment. That's still playing full out by saying what you need.
Okay.
Awesome. Confidentiality. This will be on a YouTube channel, possibly. So there'll be confidentiality as much as possible. It's not given to the public or shared publicly, but it will be available for a very specific audience of people to watch and to learn from. And I just want to confirm that's okay with you.
Yes.
All right. Also want to appreciate you for your bravery for signing up to do this. And I can't wait to see what's going to unfold.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're so welcome. All right. The way I kind of wanted to drop in here is let's just do a quick mindfulness to drop in and get into resonance with one another. So if you agree to that, you can close your eyes and let's just take 3 deep breaths together. Letting there be some space between today and right now. Let's each take one moment to think of something we're really grateful for in this moment and let that gratitude fill our bodies. Allow yourself to smile if that feels natural. So we continue to take some deep breaths, noticing that it's so nice to be able to tap into this feeling of gratitude, this alert calmness, and I'd say even open to the unseen world, our higher selves, and inviting her into this call as well. And as you continue to take just a few more deep breaths, I want to remind you of your commitment in the application to being open to something miraculous. That if we could create a miracle in this 50 minutes, we both consent. Two more deep breaths. When you're ready, and come back. So feels so different.
Yes.
It's good. I can feel magic.
Mm.
All right. So my first question for you, just to kind of open up this call. Um, since this is kind of like general life coaching, everything is on the table. And if we were to talk about one thing that wants to unfold in your life that would make the biggest impact in this moment today, what would we talk about?
I think for me, it would probably, like, what's coming up right now is my relationship with food and alcohol and what I put inside my body.
Mm, can you say more?
I think my higher self definitely knows what aligns with my beliefs, my internal, like, core beliefs. But I often find that I slip back into my ego and I do what feels familiar
Mhm.
or what's generally accepted. And, um, I can be very good about my food intake. And then I use moments where I've been good to justify making decisions that aren't aligned with what I want to do long term. And I think I use alcohol as a way to be social with people, especially my partner, and often find myself justifying, well, you worked out today, or um, you're not having a sugary cocktail. It's, just gin and soda. So there's less calories.
Mm.
Um, but I've noticed more and more that it doesn't, I want it to stop with just one, but then I have one and already my conviction is compromised. That then it's very easy again to continue making less than aligned choices. And the same with food. As soon as I stray from healthy eating habits, it's, oh, I already ate crappy this morning. You know, I'll get back on it tomorrow. And um, ultimately, I end up feeling very guilty.
Mm.
I find myself trying to bargain or um, promise myself I'm not going to do it again. Um, and then when I feel better, it's like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think the first time you used food or alcohol to feel better? What age do you think was the first time that your brain or you recognize that if I do this, I temporarily feel better?
I think food at a very young age. I was always extremely skinny. But looking back, I think my family would tell me, oh, you're blessed with such a high metabolism. It really was the fact that I was teetering between anxiety and depression all my life. And that constant anxiety kept me in a state where I did burn calories faster. Um, and sometimes I would go long periods of time without eating. And then if I did eat, I'd eat cookie dough or something not healthy because I really never had to eat healthy before. There was no reason. I
Yeah.
never gained weight. Um, so I think definitely, young child and all the way into my adulthood, I would go all day and not eat and then find myself in line at a grocery store and I'd suddenly eat, 3 packages of Skittles and then feel horrible for making that choice.
Mm.
Um, Alcohol, probably in my teens, um, helped me get rid of the anxiety, step out of my
Yeah.
comfort zone, be social and feel accepted and wanted, and made it easier for me to get out of my own head rather than being worried about how people would judge me or
Yeah.
if people were watching me, when I could take that fear away, that I could just be for a little while.
And that's relief. Yeah. When's the first, I think as a child that's naturally thin and being able to eat whatever, and your family reflecting back to you, you're so lucky you can eat whatever. I think that's all great until there's the moment where shame starts to creep in. And then we try to make promises to ourselves and we break our promises, and that creates that shame cycle. With food, what age do you think was the first elements of shame or even awareness that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing?
Probably teens
Teens.
also.
What age? Like if we picked one age, an estimate.
I remember very vividly. I remember my friends being critical that, I could eat whatever I wanted, and
Mm,
almost feeling guilt for that, like middle school
yeah.
age. Um, but I was engaged before my husband, and the man I was with at the time, worked out 5 days a week. He ate very lean food. Like he would cook a pound of hamburger and drain all the fat off and just put ketchup on it and have that for dinner. And I would cook half a roll of cookie dough and eat the other half the roll while it was cooking.
Yeah.
And that's what I would have for dinner. And um, I remember I remember feeling some guilt there, that I didn't have the willpower to eat as healthy as he did.
Mm, okay. So really, it kind of emerged from comparison to others, and then others, you noticing that, hey, not everybody does this. And then some guilt that you could,
Mhm,
and then guilt so that you didn't have the discipline to do what other people were doing.
mhm.
Now, that was when you were a teenager. As a teenager, you started creating your own patterns of how to deal with this shame. Tell me some ways. I have stories about this. Like they're such sad stories of the types of things I would do to try to have control, and the secrets that I kept from everybody about that, and the loneliness that happens when you keep secrets. And so I think for me, a lot of that started there because there's this cascade of shame that creates the shame cycle that kind of just gets bigger and snowballs. Um, Tell me about that time to how you're feeling today. Is it worse? Is it better? Do you have more perspective?
I think I definitely have perspective, and that almost makes it worse because I feel like it's 25 years later and I still haven't necessarily broken the cycle.
Yeah. What are some of the things you say to yourself? Like think the nasty way that the self-talk that probably envelopes this is I should know better. I'm a coach. Like you give me your garden variety of things that might run through.
Oh, I'm weak. I'm a
I
terrible
am
partner.
weak. Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
horrible mother.
Okay.
I'm not setting a good example for my kids.
Okay.
I think that's come up a lot recently
Mm-hmm.
in my kids talking about how they see alcohol or their relationship with alcohol. And I think that's amplifying my guilt because I wonder what I have taught them, how much I've influenced the choices that they're making.
Mm. That's heavy. but I wonder which one's heavier. I'm going to give you two scenarios and then sit with it and tell me which one's heavier. On one hand, you feel this lack of self-discipline, this perhaps disordered relationship with alcohol, this inability to, you should know better, but the inability to step into that. Okay, that's the heaviness there. And even that you might be a bad example to your kids, which just weighs that down even more. That's one. The other one is the way that you allow your brain to speak to you. I am weak. I'm a terrible partner. I'm a horrible mother. I'm a shitty example. So allowing yourself to talk to yourself in that way. Okay, there's that one. And now let's wrap on that as I'm more worried about that as an example, right? Where does that voice come from? Where do you think you learned that? Because let's just find out, who is she? She's not your highest self. Some aspect of you, some age, something, some person, some relationship. But let's explore where that voice comes from.
I think my dad grew up in a home that my grandparents were very well off, and he was expected to be perfect all the time. And I generally got praise for being perfect. Yeah. And anything less than that, I was criticized on how I needed to improve. And so, like, I remember getting my first B, and instead of still being told, good job, it was, why didn't you get an A? And really starting to apply that to every area of my life and being critical. Why aren't you being the best? Why aren't you doing better? Why are you performing less than you did last time? And I think I've always just held myself to that level now.
Yeah. So I'm sure your great grandparents had some version of this. So we've got great grandparents to grandparents to your dad to you. Do you want to be the generational breaker?
I don't ever want my kids to feel they have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How cool you get to do this work at this time for them. There's something metaphysical and magical about it too. It doesn't matter if we weren't always that healed, but when our parents or we heal, it goes back in time in both directions. It's not too late, it's right on time. And I think you already answered this, but another wonderful question I like to ask is, when you were a child, which parent's love did you long for more, or did you crave more?
My dad's. I did not have a real relationship with him.
Yeah. So to get his love, by what you said earlier, you needed to be perfect. Yeah. So that's a deep core belief, experience, memory that's running software in your brain kind of at all times. And you're just now uncovering, you're being conscious and aware of that. And I think the beautiful part is it's really coming to a head just around the food and alcohol thing. And this is the way that it's showing a crack in this moment. If you have daughters, you have a daughter, we won't say more. If she was having a hard time with food and with alcohol, and she came to you for help, how would you speak to her about it?
I want her to grant herself grace.
Say it. Say the sentences that you'd say to her.
I want you to practice grace and love yourself and forgive yourself, and know that even if you're not perfect by whatever standard you have created, that you are always worthy of my love.
Now we just get to say that to your 14-year-old self. That's the cool thing about being a conscious human being, is we can go back in time and speak that over ourselves when that thought error was programmed. When I think of little Laura, addicted to drugs, alcohol, sex, money, food, anything that made me feel better, I indulged. I had no self-control, moments of self-control. The amount of shame I felt. I remember going to grocery stores and looking at people in grocery stores and being like, how do they just live? Like I couldn't figure out how people were able to deal with being a human being. That's how like emotionally stunted I was, so much pain. And I look back at her now and I'm just like, gosh, she was brave. She did the best she could do. I mean, she was really extraordinary. Truly. I love her so much. I wish I could have been there earlier. From that place of just deep understanding, surrender, and acceptance, what could your relationship with food and alcohol look like without the tape running in the background?
I think if I was able to pause and really ask myself the why before committing to a decision. Am I choosing this because I'm craving some sort of feeling? Or am I choosing this because it's a birthday party and we're all having cake? Or really slowing down and taking a little time to dig deeper before I just immediately reach for a cocktail, or and ask, why am I doing this? What's the reasoning behind it?
Okay, awesome. What could this version of you be like when you inevitably are imperfect and eat something to feel better or drink something to feel better?
I think if I maybe wrote myself a letter or journaled so that there was something for me to read when I am in that shame spiral, to remind myself that this isn't the end, that it's another opportunity to grow and reflect and think about what led to the circumstances that I didn't slow down and think through what was happening. And probably also come up with some alternatives so that when I do slow down and I think to myself, I am distracting, or I'm numbing, or I feel anxious right now, having another option there instead of just moving forward.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome strategy. Right? Awesome strategy. I think that's helpful, Well, I think there's an even deeper, easier way to have a shift. Let's create what we did an archetype exercise, and we were talking about the queen archetype, right? Can we create her in this moment and give her some hypothetical situations and just see when you are acting from that part of you that already exists? There's that part of you already exists. When you're acting from her, how does she deal? Let's give a situation. You're on vacation where you'd normally overdrink, maybe because there's lots of family around. Maybe you're feeling some social anxiety. It's going to take the edge off. It starts sounding really good. What would the queen do as she walked into that party? Sarah the queen.
I think my queen would focus on what the purpose of that meeting was. It was to be present and spend time with family and work on those relationships and those bonds. And using alcohol as a buffer would take away from that experience.
Maybe she doesn't even it doesn't even sound good. Perhaps. And so the queen is not focused on the discomfort. The queen is focused on the purpose and how to serve in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, what else when being the queen? When I'm the queen, my shoulders are down, my head is up. I am less hungry. I only reach for high quality, good things to nourish me when I'm hungry. I can make decisions on a dime. I'm in leadership. I'm incredibly empathetic, but hold firm boundaries. There's this whole version of me that's, if I can tap into her, she solves most all my problems. As opposed to trying to retrain that 14-year-old version of you through strategy. Which, if we were to focus on food or alcohol, which one would you want to focus on if we were going to branch off and go deeper?
Probably alcohol.
Have you ever been sober for any period of time?
Yes.
Tell me about that period of time.
Of course, when I was pregnant with my kids, and then when my son went to boot camp last year for the 85 days he was gone, I decided I wasn't going to have any alcohol because I wanted to experience. It sounded selfish and not selfish, but kind of crazy. I wanted the pain. He was
In
too
solidarity.
important not to feel every moment of wanting to be with him. And I felt like it was, if I used alcohol to numb, it was dishonoring what he was doing and how important he was to me.
I don't know about you, but that's an incredible discipline and like amazing parenting. And what a beautiful decision. How did you feel in those 85 days? Was it hard?
It was hard. I really, you mean hard as far as not drinking?
Yeah.
I think because I made that commitment and felt it was to him, it was easy to honor that space. Probably because I wasn't committing it to me, I was committing it to someone I really love, and I didn't want to let him down.
I'm going to say that back to you because it's so beautiful. I wasn't committing to me. I was committing to somebody I really love. And we can infer a lot from that sentence, but I just want that to sit and be.
Hmm.
I love you that much.
Thank you.
What could it look like for you to love yourself that much?
Free.
Mm,
To not constantly keep score.
yeah.
Feel like I'm dragging around some giant board that I put ticks on every single time I mess up or don't follow through or don't toe the line. It's exhausting.
You said the word free. Everything in your body shifted. Can you tell me physically in your body, if you loved yourself unconditionally, without condition, with no scorecard, how does that feel in your body?
Warm, relaxed, tired, lighter, much more confident, self-assured.
When you're feeling warm, relaxed, confident, self-assured, do you really need to eat and drink stuff you don't want to eat and drink?
No.
It's just lifted. Now, feeling warm, relaxed, confident, self-assured, how familiar is that to you?
As good as it feels foreign.
Yeah. Yeah. The hell we know is more comfortable than the hell we don't know. And so what happens with neuroplasticity is we have a way of being from childhood, from stuff, from the program, and that's our emotional home. We're just kind of used to feeling like shit. We're used to having, and even if you start feeling too good or things start going too good, then you really got to do some crappy things so that you can get back to your emotional home. So as easy as it kind of sounds of like, oh, I just need to love myself unconditionally. What I'm also inviting in is to become familiar with the unfamiliar. What changes in your life if you made it the primacy of self-love the most important thing?
I'd become a better listener. And listen to my body.
Yeah. Would you be a better mother?
Yes.
Would you be a better partner?
Yes.
Would you be a better coach?
Yes.
Would the world benefit from you loving yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, eh, I'm going to go over a fear of mine because we are similar overachievers. We're similar. We're cut from the same cloth, I would say. And I remember trying this whole self love thing on and doing things like eating cookie dough and not feeling guilty. Like just that was cute. She was tired and she was like, and I would tell Evan, I tell my husband, I would share it. And it was more of like, that was so cute what Laura did. She just was like, no one was home and she just found some and she was ravenous. And there's almost like a humor around the imperfection, like an adoration to the imperfection and awareness of the imperfection as this like part of me that just deserves to be acknowledged and like loved. And I was afraid that if I let go of my rigidness, then I would go turn into a sloth that couldn't do anything. But it's the opposite. The letting go of the rigidity creates the discipline. It's a paradox. How does this play out in your everyday? Because I can imagine you, like I even asked you about today. Today was a good day. I drank a lot of water. You gave me the list of things that qualified it as a good day.
Yep.
Tell me more about the game that you play.
Whether or not I've run.
How many points do you get for running?
Probably good 50 points.
All right. And if you don't run, are you a piece of shit? Are you in the negative or is it zero?
It's like at least minus 100.
Got it. Awesome rules to this game we play.
Yeah. So just enough to boost me, but if I don't do it, we really, really beat ourselves up. Same with water intake. I'm horrible at drinking water. And now it's like my mind, when I worked full time, it was just survival mode. And it's like I gave myself this free ticket of whatever you have to do to get through the day is fine. And now that I don't necessarily have that free ticket and I'm trying to hold myself to a higher standard, if I don't hit that standard, I definitely feel like I'm not valuable during the day.
Yeah.
Did you run? Did you work out? Did you drink water? Did you eat today? And if you did, what did you eat? Because there's days too where if I'm not hungry and I don't eat, I notice that, my stomach's flatter and then it's like, oh, well, I went all day today and I didn't eat. And even though I rationally know I do better if I eat food all day long because it keeps me from making a terrible split-second decision.
Yeah.
That I'll tempt fate. I'll try and talk myself into, you can do it. You can go all day and then just eat dinner at night. You're strong enough. You did it 2 days this week. Why would tomorrow be the day that you're not able to do it? And then, like yesterday, I ate an entire package of graham crackers because I chose not to eat breakfast.
What's the secondary payoff of all this? Like, what do you get from the self-loathing, the game, the rules of the game that you can't win, and then the inevitable failure that you get to fall into and experience? What would be the secondary payoff? What do you get from that?
I think at retreat, I really identified, I fucking love struggling. It's like my badge of honor.
Tell me more. Tell me more about people who struggle. Tell me, if you can struggle through this life, tell me more about what that means about you.
Well, I think because my grandparents were very well off, my dad, multiple occasions, racked up, $50,000 in credit cards and would constantly buy new cars. And I associated those decisions or those actions in our family as lack of willpower, or um, choosing to be frivolous and just spend money that didn't need to be spent. And for me, I've always been so proud of, look at what I've created with so little. Even though I have resources, it's like I refuse to use them because I want to be able to show that I can do it with half as much or a
Yeah.
tenth of as much. And I really figured that out at retreat, that, wow, that's totally my existential kink. All
Yeah.
the times I worked at work and would go in on the weekends and not get paid, and I would tell people, like, look at how hard I'm working, look at, how much I struggle, but I believe so much in the team that this is what I'm willing to do because I believe in this program. I love struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what a beautiful way. I mean, we can see how you're as a young girl, how you had this experience watching your father and how noble it was. I remember having these thoughts about my parents. They struggled with money, and as I will never struggle with money. Right? I'm going to do the opposite of the thing, the pathological thing that we see in our parents. We're going to go to the other polarity. And if we live by that polarity, then we are good. Yeah. What? Well, let's just tell a story. Let's tell a story about Sarah, who used to be a perfectionist, who just loved the struggle, who wanted to prove her dad wrong, who wanted to be perfect, who drank all her water, who worked out every single day, who was the best mom, the best partner, never had a drop of alcohol again. How does that feel in your body?
Still feels like a struggle.
Yeah.
They've just created a different version of struggling.
Yeah. What feels more true, just from like a spiritual standpoint? As a human being, did we come here to struggle? Is that the purpose of our life?
I think that's what I keep choosing. But deep down, why continue to choose to struggle? Like, I wouldn't want my kids to do this. If they had access to resources and different things, I wouldn't want them to constantly make their lives challenging. Why? Choose the easy path and move on. That it's okay to enjoy life.
Yeah. The number one regret of the dying, from Bronnie Ware's book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. She's with a lot of dying people. Was the number one regret is you'd be on your deathbed and you'd say something like, should I just let myself be happy?
Mhm.
That hit me so hard because I was aware of how much resistance I had to being happy. And here's the thing, if we're in struggle, who are we thinking about?
Me,
Ourselves. When we're in love and happiness, who are we thinking about?
our family.
Yeah. So while I think it's cute that our call started talking about discipline in food and alcohol, I wonder if there's a deeper thread that we can uncover where those problems take care of themselves.
Yeah, I don't know how to be happy.
Do you think it's possible to learn? How sure? 0 to 100. How sure are you that there's a way for you to learn to be happy?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Cool.
100% sure.
Yeah. Does that pursuit and that level of focus, let's borrow from your struggle muscle, because it's served you in lots of ways. I mean, you have a wonderful life, beautiful children, great career. You're launching an awesome career. From the outside, you're beautiful, you're fit. From the outside, it worked up till now. I mean, it you hobbled along, but you got here. If we were to make your struggle muscle and your ability to make something happen in your life, as I am determined to find out how to be happy and how to love myself unconditionally. If that's the focus, if that's the new metric, if that's the new version of getting your dad's love, do you think overeating and drinking is going to bother you much or even be an issue? Yeah. Now, in 8 minutes or less, we get to play just a little bit with how the hell do you learn to make yourself happy and love yourself unconditionally? What are some ideas that you have when you think about, if that's the goal, how do we get there?
I think that's probably part of the problem is I've created all these struggles believing I need something to drive me to keep working, to keep wanting to be better, to I crave and feed off of that energy.
Yeah.
And without it, I don't
Gotta
know
find
how
new
to just
fuel.
be.
Yeah. Well, embracing struggle is a wonderful trait. It's a wonderful trait as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as a nurse. It's not a bad trait. That's not bad in and of itself. Deriving your own self-worth from the amount of struggle that you endure, I think that's the distinction. So I don't think that not struggling is the goal. Right. I know people will say, well, how do you love yourself? I think the first step is just the commitment to do it. I don't plan on not loving myself. And I'm going to fuck up here and there. I'm going to say bad, stupid things. I'm going to eat cookie dough. I probably will drink again. I go in and out of sobriety myself. All those things are probably going to happen because I'm a human being. And it's not, my goal is not to not have those things happen. My goal is how I treat myself after they do. If I can get 10% better, 5% better at the aftermath of the humanness, then I'm on my way to loving myself. And that's what I want my kids to feel. And that's what I want your kids to feel. And that's what I want you to feel. And that's what I want every fucking human being on the earth to feel. Because everything gets simpler.
We're just human.
We are. And we will always be until we're not. And there is a part of us that is perfectly imperfect. And it's and our imperfections are pretty cute. I think like humans are so cute the way we do things. Like we just do weird stuff.
I've never thought about it that way.
It's adorable. I mean, like think about our kids, like when like a toddler, like eating a bunch of cookies and then lying about it. Like it's so cute. They're being human.
They are being
And
human.
As adults, we do. I'll lie about weird things sometimes, like weird lies. It'll come out of my mouth. I'll lie about something. And I'm like, holy shit, Laura, you just lied or embellished. Or are you sure that's even true? Like, how did that even happen? I'm like, oh, it's so cute. Cute little Laura's just trying to look better than she is. And she lied. That's so cute. Like, it's just adorable to me. It's so funny. And then the awareness, you're like, well, at least I'm aware of it now. Like, this is progress, you know? Self-love can be a lighthearted, fun, humorous journey. It doesn't need to be a struggle, arduous journaling every day, meditation. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be a giggle, you know. Have you ever
I
seen the
like.
Dalai Lama
Mhm.
or like monks? They are the most childlike, giggly, joyful beings on earth. You
This is
know,
true.
uh, my dad, I'll end our session on this just because I think we're coming back up to the humor of it all. But my dad studied Buddhism for a while, and he went to a temple and he was doing these like 8-hour meditations, and he was really thinking he was getting somewhere and starting to feel really good about himself on his spiritual journey and wanting to achieve. And he went and talked to the head monk and said, you know, I'm doing all these things, like this is all happening. Like, what's next? Like, what's next in this journey? He's like, you can get up in the morning, you can eat breakfast, and you can wash your dishes, and you can be kind to your wife, and you can live a good life. Like that's the summit. And my dad said he was just like, like, that's it. Yeah, that's like the full circle. Like that's what we're actually all going towards, is the simplicity of that and the pureness of soul, of love. How do you feel about that ride we just took?
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted.
Mm.
I've
What's
been
your,
very scared to speak a lot of those words for fear of judgment.
yeah, yeah. Do you feel less shame?
Yes.
Yeah. Hmm. What's your number one takeaway that you can, there's just one morsel that you now have that you didn't have that you get to take away and grow?
That I get a look at little Sarah
She's so cute.
instead of beating her up. I get to love her and laugh at her.
Yeah.
And I get to hang out with her sometimes. Like it's okay.
Yes. Yeah,
She's actually really cool.
totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura.
That was awesome. I really appreciate you. You're in my world, so I know we don't have follow-up sessions as your life coach, but I'm in your world, so I'll get like loop me in as this unfolds for you. I love to hear how it shows up. The next time you do something naughty, I'd love for you to voice message me and just tell me what little Sarah did.
It's a deal.
Awesome. All right, Sarah, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. You too, Laura. Bye-bye.
Bye.